Candlekeep Mysteries is going to be released in a few weeks. Do you have a character idea ready? I do. This new upcoming D&D book has 17 mystery-themed mini-adventures in it. I've got an idea for a great character. I've got blank character sheets and my dice, so let's go! I'm really excited for the Candlekeep Mysteries. Not only do I love mysteries, but I also love books and libraries, and these adventures take place in one of the most famous Dungeons & Dragons libraries in Candlekeep. Now, these 17 mini-adventures are for levels 1 through 16, and it says they can either be run as one-shots or dropped into any campaign. But I wanted to build a character specific to these Candlekeep adventures. First off, I chose to build a rogue, specifically for their stealth skills and their abilities to do things like find and disarm traps and pick locks. I have a whole other video on the best features about rogues that you can find right up here. Now, for a rogue subclass, given the nature of these adventures, I went with the Inquisitive archetype that's actually found in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. Since rogue subclasses aren't available till level 3, that's actually what I'm going to be building today, is a level 3 rogue. Now, I looked at all the races available in Dungeons & Dragons, and I decided to actually go with the Tabaxi race out of Volo's Guide to Monsters. So to build this character today, I'm going to need my player's handbook, Volos and Xanathars that I mentioned, and links to all these books can be found in the description down below. I also picked up a pack of Dungeons & Dragons character sheets, and there's a link to that in the description as well. Now, I chose a Tabaxi first because I love the idea of playing a cat humanoid, but also because they get a +2 to their dexterity score, which is great for rogues, and they get a +1 to their charisma score, which is great for intimidation, persuasion, and deception. Now, in case you happen to be wondering what the difference is between a Tabaxi and a Leonin, because they're both cat-like humanoids, I have a video on that right up here. I also chose a Tabaxi because they have dark vision and a special ability called feline agility, which allows them to double their speed once in a while in combat. Tabaxis also get proficiency in perception and stealth, and those are really good qualities for rogues too. So let's get the dice and roll up this Tabaxi Inquisitive Rogue. Adventurers, if you love all things Dungeons & Dragons, like tips, tricks, unboxing, and reviews, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Now, like I said, Tabaxis get +2 to their dexterity and +1 to their charisma. So first, next to dexterity and charisma, I'm going to write +2 and +1 on my character sheet so I don't forget to add those to my rolls. Now, let's get those 6 rolls that we need. I'm going to take 4 6-sided dice, roll them, drop to the lowest, and add them together, and I'm going to do this 6 times. Okay, so I ended up with 11, 11, 13, 15, 16, and 17. Those are pretty good. Now, I know I want dexterity to be the highest score for my rogue, so that's where I'm going to put the 17 in dexterity. And I know I'm also going to put my 2 lowest scores in constitution and strength. Rogues tend to use their dexterity score when they make weapon attacks, so strength isn't as important for them. So strength is going to be an 11. And I know constitution kind of determines how many hit points you get, especially as you level up. But I'm much more concerned, though, with intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So I'm going to put my other lowest score, the other 11, in constitution. I have a 13, a 15, and a 16 left. I'm going to put my second highest, the 16, I think in my intelligence, the 15 in my charisma, and the 13 in my wisdom. Now, previously, like I said, I wrote down that I get +2 to dex and +1 to charisma for being a Tabaxi. So this 17 is now going to turn into a 19, and the 15 charisma is actually going to turn into a 16. Also, real quick, I'm going to fill out the top of my character sheet here. My race is Tabaxi, And right now I am a level 1 rogue. Next, I'm going to go to the table on page 13 of the Player's Handbook to get my modifiers. So if my strength is an 11, that's +0, no modifier. If my dexterity is 19, that's a +4. My constitution is 11, that's also a 0. My intelligence is 16, that's a +3. My wisdom is 13, that's a +1, and my charisma is also 16 for +3. And those get filled in right down the side of the character sheet here. I'll put a close-up in so you can see how I filled that out. Adventurers, if you're enjoying this video, can you go ahead and just hit that like button, give us a thumbs up? It helps the channel out more than you know. Now for my Tabaxis background, I decided to go with the Sage, specifically the Researcher specialty. Although that specialty is just for flavor and for role-playing, it doesn't give you any additional abilities. But a Sage gets proficiency in History and Arcana, which I thought would be really helpful on these mysteries. So on the background here at the top, I'm just going to fill in Sage. I'll put Researcher. Now when a character in Dungeons & Dragons is level 1, you have a proficiency bonus of +2. There's a section right up here at the top next to the strength score for proficiency bonus, and I'm just going to write +2 in there. Next, I'm going to go down through this list of saving throws and skills and just fill in the little bubble if I know I have proficiency. So a rogue gets proficiency in dexterity and intelligence saving throws. So I'm just going to fill in those little circles. Then there's a big long list of skills for rogues to choose 4 out of. I chose acrobatics, and I'm just filling in the little circles next to these. Insight, investigation, because these are mysteries, and sleight of hand, because you never know when you need to pocket something. Now, a Tabaxi also gave me proficiency in perception and stealth, so I'm also going to fill in the little circles for perception and stealth. And then being a Sage, I said, gives me proficiency in Arcana and History, so I'm going to fill in those little circles too. The next thing I'm going to do is go down this list again and write in the modifier on the line. But if the circle is colored in, I'm going to also add the proficiency bonus to it as well. My strength modifier is 0. Dexterity is +4, but I'm proficient in it, so 6. Constitution was also 0. Intelligence saving throws, I get +3 plus proficient, so 5. Wisdom is +1. Charisma's +3. Now down in the skills section, I am proficient at acrobatics, and it tells you in parentheses in gray it's based on dex. So I take my dex modifier plus proficiency, so that's +6. Animal handling is based on wisdom, so I have a 1. Arcana is based on intelligence, so it's a 3, but I'm proficient, so it's +2 more for a total of 5. Athletics is strength, so that's 0. Deception is charisma, so that's 3. History is intelligence, so that's 3, but I'm proficient, so it's 5. Insight is wisdom, that's 1, plus I'm proficient, so 3. Intimidation is plain charisma, so 3. Investigation, intelligence, and proficiency for a 5. Medicine is wisdom, so 1. Nature is intelligence, so 3. Perception is wisdom, 1, plus proficient, a total of 3. Performance is charisma, 3. Persuasion is charisma, 3. Religion is intelligence, so that's 3. Sleight of hand is dex, which is 4, plus proficiency, so that's 6. That's real good. Stealth is also dex, plus proficiency, so 6. And then survival is regular wisdom, so that would be a 1. Those are the numbers that I'm going to add or subtract to my D20 rolls when the Dungeon Master asks me to make a skill check. Now I'm also going to fill in initiative, which is this middle box right here. And your initiative is how you determine what order you go in combat. You make a D20 roll and you add this modifier to it. Simple enough, your initiative is the same as your dexterity modifier. So my initiative is +4. Now there's some special features for my Tabaxi that I want to write in here. The speed of a Tabaxi is 30 feet, so I'm going to put that in the speed box right next to initiative. And Tabaxis also have dark vision, so under features and traits, I'm just going to write dark vision. And they also have that feline agility. That's that feature that lets them move double their speed in combat once in a while. Tabaxis also have a climbing speed because of their claws of 20 feet. So near the speed here, even though I wrote 30 kind of big, I'm just going to write 20 climb. Next, I'm going to choose my rogue's starting equipment. There's a list on page 96 of the equipment a rogue gets to start with, and some of them you have to choose one item or the other. But I've already chosen, and I will write down under my attacks, I have a short sword, a short bow, 2 daggers. I also have, which I'm going to write under equipment, leather armor, thieves' tools, and I'm going to write underneath them, because I'm a rogue, I'm proficient in using the thieves' tools, which means whenever I use them to like try to disarm a trap or pick a lock, I also get to add my proficiency bonus, and I don't want to forget that. So I'm just going to write proficient. Let's see, I also have a burglar's pack. And you can find out all the different items that are in those packs in the player's handbook. Oh, I also have 20 arrows to go with my short bow. Next, I'm going to figure out my hit points. Now, for a rogue, they use an 8-sided die as their hit die. So when determining the amount of hit points they start with, you take the highest possible roll on that die, which is an 8, and add your Constitution modifier. You probably remember, though, my Constitution modifier is a 0, so I'm going to start with just 8 hit points. And I have 1d8 hit dice, which I will add in the little hit dice box. And my hit point maximum at level 1 is also 8. Now for being a Tabaxi, I know Common and 1 other language, and for being a Sage, I know 2 more. So under languages, I'm going to write Common, and I get to pick 3 other languages. For the heck of it right now, let's do Elvish, Dwarvish, and how about Undercommon? Now my leather armor also helps determine my armor class, which is how hard it is for enemies to hit me. Leather armor is in the equipment list in the player's handbook, and it says that it makes your armor class 11 plus your dexterity modifier. So I'll have an armor class of 15. Now I'm also going to figure out real quick the attack bonus and damage bonus for each of my weapons. Now a short sword does 1d6 piercing damage, and I also get to add my dexterity modifier to that. So under the damage type, I'm going to write 1d6 plus 4, and then just put a P for piercing. Now when I determine if I'm going to hit with my short sword, I have to roll a d20. I add my dexterity bonus because it's a finesse weapon, but I'm also going to add my proficiency bonus because rogues happen to be proficient in short swords. So I'm going to have a plus 6 attack bonus with my short sword. Now my short bow is also 1d6 piercing, so it's pretty much also going to be plus 6 to hit, and then 1d6 plus 4 piercing damage if I hit. And then I also have 2 daggers. Daggers do 1d4 piercing, but I am proficient with them, so that will also be plus 4 piercing. And again, my dex bonus, because it's a finesse weapon, plus my proficiency is plus 6 to hit with my daggers. Now you can stab someone with a dagger as a melee weapon, but you can also throw it like a ranged weapon. Particularly on a dagger, throwing it does the same amount of damage with the same modifiers as stabbing someone with it, but there's a certain range that you can throw it. So the range for my daggers is within 20 feet for a normal attack, within 60 feet for an attack with disadvantage. Now let me just write down a few more traits that my first level rogue has. They have expertise. This is a great feature. This means I get to pick 2 abilities and double my proficiency bonus. So I'm actually going to choose to double the proficiency bonus on investigation and on perception. So that just doubles the proficiency. So I get to add another 2 to my investigation for a total of 7. and another 2 to my perception for a total of 5. I think that's going to be much more useful for my rogue to have a 5 perception when they're trying to identify any traps. Next, my rogue also gets sneak attack, which at first level is a 1d6 extra damage. And sneak attack is some extra bonus dice you get to roll under certain conditions. And then they also have the ability to understand Thieves' Cant, which is kind of like a secret coded language between rogues. For some more character creation tips, I made a video just about the basics of making a character, and that can be found right up here. Now down here at the bottom on the left-hand side, you also have a passive perception score, and that's your ability to just notice things as you happen to be walking around or looking around. So the way you figure that one out is it is a 10 plus your perception score. So for me, that would be a 15. That's actually a pretty good passive perception, which is pretty handy for a rogue. Now that's the basics of our level 1 rogue, but I want to bring this rogue up to a level 3. So first, let's increase them to a level 2. So I'm going to change the level up here at the top to 2. Now that means I get more hit dice and more hit points. So my hit dice is going to now change to 2d8. And as I increase in hit points, you can either roll a d8 to see what you get, but you could roll really low, or you can take the average of a 5. I'm not a huge risk taker when it comes to more hit points, so I'm going to go with the 5. And then you add your Constitution modifier, which for this one was a 0. So I'm going to go up 5 hit points, and my new max is also 5 more. So now I have 13 hit points with a max of 13. So the other thing that my rogue gets at level 2 is Cunning Action. This allows my rogue to use a bonus action to either dash, disengage, or hide. That's really handy. Okay, level 2 was easy enough. Let's move them up to level 3. This is where they get to choose that archetype. This is where they become the Inquisitive Rogue. Change to level 3 rogue. And my hit points, again, I'm going to add 5 plus my Constitution modifier, which is 0. So I now have an 18 hit point max, and I currently have 18 total. When my rogue goes from 2nd to 3rd level, their sneak attack increases from 1d6 to 2d6, so I'm going to change that as well. And they get a bunch of new features from being the Inquisitive archetype. And I'm actually going to go over these because I think these are really specific to choosing this archetype for Candlekeep. So my level 3 rogue is going to get 3 new features: Ear for Deceit, Eye for Detail, and Insightful Fighting. Let me just write these down. Now this is what each of those abilities does. Ear for Deceit says whenever you make an insight check to determine whether a creature is lying, you can treat a roll of 7 or lower on your d20 as if it was an 8. I thought that was pretty handy. Next up is Eye for Detail. That says you can use a bonus action to make a perception check to spot a hidden creature or object, or an investigation check to uncover or decipher clues. Now, having those available as bonus actions, I think is also going to be really handy in Mysteries of Candlekeep. Lastly, Insightful Fighting. This is, as a bonus action, you can make an insight check against a creature's deception check to see if you can decipher their tactics and develop a counter action to them. So if you succeed, you can use your sneak attack for the next minute, even if you don't have advantage. I thought that was another really great ability to get at level 3 for this type of rogue. Now here's the epic question of the day. After designing my Tabaxi Inquisitive Rogue with a sage background, I didn't give them a name. Help me come up with a name for this Tabaxi. What would you name them when they go on their adventure in Candlekeep? Put your answer in the comments down below. Next, you'll want to watch one of the videos that's on the next screen, so just go ahead and click on one of those videos and I'll see you there. Now go have an epic adventure.